Thank you very much. Good morning. Very happy to be here and get this ad convention started. And I want to apologize to start with because when I got up yesterday, I went skiing in Mont-Tremblant, Quebec, and it was minus 28. And when I got here last night, thank God I came in last night, it was minus 2, so it was great weather. And I said, yeah, great weather. And then I wake up this morning and I did this and I saw the storm. So the bad weather is following me, so I want to apologize for that. But I'm very happy to be here. I want to share with you at the beginning my thought process when I was asked to come and speak here. You're always wondering when people ask you to come and speak, what do they want me to talk about? You know, what is of their interest? And he said, it's very easy, François. They have a theme for their week. It's called Managing Change, Transforming Business Without Losing Your Mind. Then, you know, you got to reflect. Do you have anything to say about this before you say, I'm going to go or not? And my attention got caught on the without losing your mind piece of the sentence, because I said, maybe these people are aware that I'm CEO of Transcontinental and acting president of media at TC Media, and that many days I feel like I'm losing my mind doing both jobs. But I said, that's got to be something else. But I got going on this losing my mind or your mind thing. And usually when I deliver a speech, I have one conclusion, only one conclusion. And I'll start this speech with my conclusion today. And my conclusion is if you are in the media industry today or in the advertising world, I strongly recommend you lose your mind to be successful, because there's so much change. There's so much things going on in the industry. That's normal. That's how we feel these days. So that's the first conclusion. And I wanted to stop here, but our people say it was going to be a short speech, François, and a rather simplistic conclusion. So I'm going to spend the rest of the time talking about the first part of the sentence, which is managing change and transforming business. And I'll do that by using our own experience at TC Transcontinental. And it'll be three parts to what I'll be talking about this morning. The first part is I'm going to explain to you what is TC Transcontinental, so you know where we're starting from. And I'll use a little bit of our history to derive a few tips on how you could be successful transforming a company or not being successful. And I'll close by talking to you very briefly about what are our challenges and opportunities that we see today in the market as a media company. So we'll start by talking about what's TC Transcontinental. We are a public company. We've been listed here on the Toronto Stock Exchange since 1984, so we've been a public company for a long time. Our revenue last year was $2.1 billion, $358 million of EBITDA, so not bad margin, 17% margin, 9,500 dedicated, passionate employees. A lot of them are in the room here, and a good bunch are still in their car trying to get here. But they're trying to transform our company, our offering, every single day. And what is neat about our company, when you want to transform a company, you need to have resources. And one of the resources that is important is to be financially sound. You know, you need to have money to transform a company. If you want to test things, invest in things, acquire a company, even allowed for a few failures along the way, if you have a solid balance sheet, it is important. And that's our case at Transcontinental. We have very low debt. We have below $350 million of debt, so that does for a very, very strong company financially. So we have the means to try to continue to transform ourselves, because like I was saying, for sure, along the way, if you try, you'll make some mistake and they'll cost. Now, we have two main business at Transcontinental, a print business and a media business. The print business is a business of $1.5 billion. It is about 2/3 of our revenue. And we are active in many, many areas of the print sector. The biggest vertical for us in print is the retail vertical. We basically deal with all the retailers in Canada, all of them. The main product being the flyers we print for them, but we have about 12 products that we sell to the retailer, web, media, and that's our biggest vertical. We deal with newspaper publisher, a few of them, the one that you've shown, the Globe and Mail, we print across Canada. We also deal with book publisher, magazine publisher, and a lot of companies that use print as a medium to communicate with their audience, telco, insurance company, a CPG. So this is our biggest vertical, and the print industry in Canada is a consolidated industry. We've been the consolidator of that industry. It took us 37 years, but we finally did it last year. We have 25 factories. We have factories in basically every province. And the number 2 player in the print industry in Canada is at around 200 million with 3 factories here in Ontario. So it is an industry that is consolidated. It's very important for us to be in the print in our portfolio and our strategy. Why? Because the print, despite everything that you hear, still capture about 40% of the $15 billion advertising market in Canada. So that used to be a lot more because the web was not there, and now the web, depending on what you look at, the internet captured 20 to 25%. But still it's 40%, and it's very important in our strategy. This is the backbone of our free cash flow story. Our print sector is generating a lot of free cash flow every year for us to reinvest in transforming the company. And the print sector is also very central to our strategy because of a lot of the customers we deal with since 37 years in printing are the same customer that are buying our media property, that are experiencing with our new web offering, that are experiencing with our new one-to-one marketing offering. So it's very important for us to have the customer access, and the print group delivers that for us. Our second business is the media business. It's a business of about $700 million, or a third of our revenue. We have 4,000 people in our media division. And most of you know of our media division, but most of you know of it for one brand, or one product, or a couple of products. But not a whole lot of you know the overall product offering. So if you allow me this morning, I'll describe it a little bit in a little bit more detail so that you have an idea of the 3 main business we run in media. We have a local business, we have a national business, and we have an educational business. And as you can see from the numbers on the screen, the local business is about 50% of our revenue. So a lot of people know us for our national business, for our brand like Canadian Living and Elle and Style at Home and Coup de Pouce, but frankly, the local is the biggest piece of our media portfolio with 50%. What do we have in there? We have 180 weeklies that are really tied to a local community, mainly in the east of Canada, Quebec, Atlantic, and Saskatchewan, and they talk to 6.8 million readers every week. We also have 12 dailies in the same geography that talks to 2 million readers, and we have a distribution service that cover all the doors in Canada. There's 12.7 million doors in Canada, and that's what make up the 370 million we have in local. The anchor of our national business, which is about 40% of our revenue, is what you see there as a consumer and business solution. These are in fact 30 magazines, 30 brands that most of you know, that reach 12 million readers every month. And what we have done both in local and national over the past couple of years is to embark on the trend of the web and also of one-to-one marketing. What is neat with the web is that it enables to do one-to-one marketing. So we had identified those trends a long time ago, and we wanted to grow revenue around that, and that's what we did. Our digital solution that are mainly and national and mainly anchor around 20 million unique visitors we have on the TC Media network on the web is generating $78 million of ad dollar. And the content solution is where we produce content not for our brand, not for our community of interest, but a lot of our partners and customers want to have their own media now. They want to communicate directly with their audience, with their customer, and we are helping them drive content, because once they realize that the technology allowed them to enter in contact with the end consumer, they're all excited, but they quickly realize that they need to have content to stay in constant interaction with their consumer. And that's where we came in, and we've built a business of about $70 million selling content. And our third division is a smaller division. We publish school textbook in French, mainly in Quebec, for $50 million. So for Transcontinental, this is, the TC Media is really our growth engine. We really see a lot of growth. We're really passionate about that business. We feel that next year we're going to probably surpass about $750 million of revenue in our media division, with the growth that we see in the web, the growth that we see in one-to-one, and some of the acquisition we did. So at this point, I've tried to describe to you Transcontinental, and especially TC Media, in words. We have a little video of about 2 minutes that will describe TC Media offering in image and sound, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. All right, at this point I want to share with you some moment of our 37-year history at TC Transcontinental, how we transformed from a small printer to a publisher, and today we see ourselves more and more as a marketing activation company. And I'm going to do this not really to tell us our story, but to try to hit a few milestones in our history of transforming the company, really for the purpose of giving you some tips about how organizations are transformed successfully or not successfully. So we'll start with the first year that the company was formed in 1976 with less than 30 employees, and our first year revenue was $2.9 million. And this company was founded by a young entrepreneur in his 30s by the name of Rémi Marcoux. And we're very fortunate to have Rémi's son with us this morning, Pierre, who head up our magazine and educational and trade business. And with new partners, they found a company around the retail vertical. They acknowledged a customer need at the time for the retailer to communicate their deals to the consumer. And the trend that they've watched was the growing popularity at the time in the 70s of the flyers. And they brought a little bit of innovation to the market. They were the first printer to specialize around the flyer printing vertical. And they talked to the retailer and asked them, what would you like? And they say, we would like our flyers to be printed on something else than cheap newsprint. We would like to have like a glossy type of stock. And we would like it not to be in black and white, because at the time it was in black and white. We would like it to be in color. So that's what they did, and they were successful from the get-go. So what we could remember from the beginning of the company is that if you have an idea around a product that answers a customer needs, and you could ride a wave of a market trends that is about to take off, like it was the case for flyer, the consumer adaptation, the trend was there. So they were right at the tip of the wave, and they ride the wave, and they innovate. They brought in new things. It looks like simple today, but they had developed that sheet in Europe with a company from Finland, and they brought color and the way it is, answering customer needs and innovating, and they were in business. What happened in '78 to these guys, they were doing pretty good, but bad news happened. Adversity hit them right at the beginning, because they were printing flyers, and then they receive a phone call from all of their customers, say, stop the presses, stop printing. Because at the time in Montreal, that's where they were located, most of the flyers were distributed through the daily newspaper. And at the time, there was 3 in Montreal, and they were all on strike. So they were facing adversity, and they had 2 ways to respond to that. Either they were folding the company, or they were doing something. And they decided to do something. They said, if we need distribution to print the flyer, we'll get into the distribution business. So they started a new business. Obviously, they didn't own a paper, so they couldn't put the flyer in the paper. So they decided to put it in a plastic bag. That's the only thing they could think of. Today, this business for Transcontinental in Quebec only really took off. It took the market away from the newspaper. They never really recovered from that. Today, this is a business of $130 million. So the transformational tips that I want to give you about transforming a company is how you will deal with adversity could dictate your success or your failure. And for sure, on our way to trying to make our product offering evolve, of trying to answer a customer need, of trying to move our company in different directions, we will face adversity, no question about that. The question is, how are we going to respond? These guys were not really lucky, because in 1979, they had started to print only one publisher of newspaper. They were doing retail and one publisher of newspaper. It was a guy who was publishing the only French-speaking newspaper who was talking about business in Quebec at the time, a paper called Les Affaires. And they received another fun phone call, and this guy said, Rémi, I'm going bankruptcy. I'm going to fold the paper. Sorry for all the money I owe you, but I'm going home. And okay, that was less, important than the previous one, but still, Rémi had a reflection about what are we doing here? Do we take 10 cents on the dollar in the bankruptcy and go home? Or again, do we do something about it? And this event is the beginning of Transcontinental and the publishing world. Why? Because of passion. Rémi and the partner didn't go into the publishing business because they liked the publishing business. They didn't know nothing about the publishing business. They went into buying the paper for $1 because they had a passion for the product, because they firmly believed that it was important for their community to have, at least at the time, one publication that was talking about business and their own language. So the key finding from this is, if you want to transform your company, if you want to invent new products and services, if you don't have any passion for the product, if you don't have any passion for the industry, if you don't like the people in that industry, my guess is you will not be successful. So passion is driving a lot of transformation, a lot of idea, and a lot of innovation. And right there on that slide, you have the two core competencies that will drive the future growth of Transcontinental for 30 years. And printing, a core competency around manufacturing excellence. It is a very capital-intensive business. You got to be good at that. And in publishing, a core competency around content creation. If you're in the media business and you don't create content that appeal to people, that make people emotional, then you should get out of that business. So these were the two core competencies we built the company upon: content creation and manufacturing excellence. So one of the transformational tips is you need to have passion, and you need to build your company on a few core competencies. If you have 12 core competencies, it's pretty hard to become the best at what you're doing. That's the two core competencies we choose, and we developed the company from $18 million in '79. Right there, they were there 35 years ago. And the other thing that I want to share with you is that when you're looking about transforming your company, often the answers are around your core competency in the form of your customer. So we started servicing the retailer in 1976 with the idea that I mentioned to you. Today, the retail vertical for Transcontinental, with the 10 products that we have, is $850 million. So if you have a good idea, if you have a good core competency, you go for it, but a lot of time your growth idea would come from your partner, your customer, your supplier, even working with your competitor sometime could be good. Then I decided to stop in 1993. I'm a little bit selfish about that year because that's the year I joined the company. By that time we were at $638 million. And when I joined, the print sector was about $500 million. The distribution business was up to $50 million. The publishing business was about $50 million as well. And we had entered a new business, the CD and CD-ROM business, because we had seen that trend. Both of our businesses, printing and publishing, our distribution channel was the paper. We were not in radio, we were not in TV. And when you think about it, about advertising those days, there was really the three main buckets: radio, TV, and print. But then we saw plastic coming in, the CD and CD-ROM, and we said, this is a wave that we want to ride. So we bought a compact disc replicator. We built 3 factories in the US and created a $200 million business in compact disc replication, thinking that this was a big part of our future. Now, the key findings of that part of our history is that some trends and some products sometimes don't last long. The CD ride only lasted about 10 years, then it went down. As soon as the pipe got that big on the internet, by the late 90s, early 2000, that was it for that industry. So one of the key findings about what happened to us there, it was not a pretty story for us, is that when you see trends happening, and if you're like me, you have people coming in your office every 3 months about the next big thing. You know, this is going to be disruptive. So if we're not in this, we're dead in 3 months. A lot of things, a lot of trends, a lot of new technology, a lot of technology out there on the web trying to find a marketing idea who's trying to find a business idea. Got a lot of technology people chasing a need. So be careful, because some trends don't last long, and some technology don't last long or never deliver what they're supposed to deliver from a marketing standpoint, but more importantly, from a business standpoint. I always say to our people, there's 3 levels of success on the web. There's the technological level of success, is actually doing what it's supposed to do. That's good. And 5 years ago, we were saying that's a success. Then we went to the second level of success, a marketing success. There's some people who are actually looking at it and doing something. And then now we're at the third level of success as an industry. Does it actually drive sales? Does it actually drive people into the store? Does it actually drive behavior? So, you got to be careful about trends and new technology. And 2000 for us, as you can see, we had grown a lot from 1993 to 2000. In 2000, we were at $1.8 billion. So we had multiplied the sales by 3 and 7 years. We had a plan. We followed our plan. We wanted to be the consolidator in the print industry. And we wanted to grow in media. We were only at 50 million in publishing, and we wanted to grow that. And we've grown our company a lot by acquisition. And if you do acquisition, you will accelerate the transformation of your company. Why? Because you're buying products, you're buying sales, you're buying customer relationship, but foremost, you're buying talent. You're buying new talent. That's how we've grown our company. And we had been successful growing the print and growing the local part of our offering, but by 2000, we were still very little in magazine and publishing. And there's nothing that will help you better to transform your company than to get lucky. So in 2000, we got lucky because the stable of magazines from Telemedia became available, and they had brand in there like Elle, like Canadian Living, like Coup de Pouce, like Style at Home, and we were able to buy them out. So that's what we did. So what this story is telling you is that if you want to transform your company, there's nothing wrong with being lucky. You're allowed to be lucky. You have to remember that if you want to transform your company and you restrain yourself from acquisition, it's going to take more time. And don't be afraid to go bold or to go big. When we bought the Telemedia magazine, they were more than twice the size we were in publishing magazine, but we were not afraid to jump in and to make it happen. So this is a tips that could be learned from that. 2002, this is really when we started to look at the web commercially, in a sense. We had websites prior, but really 10 years ago, we started to look at these two trends that are really fundamentals to our strategy still today in our media business, is what is the impact of the web on the consumer and what human beings are doing, and they're doing every year more on the web, so you have to acknowledge that. And what is great about the web, it's that when consumers interact with the web product, they leave a lot of trace, and you can capture a lot of information that, in a sense, allowed to move, I think, our industry from mass marketing to one-to-one marketing. And not to say that mass marketing is going away, that it's not good, but I think you need a good mixture. And right in 2002, 10 years ago, we identified these two trends, that the web was going to play a bigger role in the life of the consumer who were reading our publication, and that one-to-one marketing was going to be important. That's why we started as early as 2002 to collect a lot of data around the subscriber who were subscribing to our magazines. So today, what Transcontinental is all about is a $2.1 billion company, and our media business, we have a plan to do three things. We want to grow our audience, so we have a lot of strategy around making our audience bigger, helping our customer reach the targeted audience, because the world of the web is a much more fragmented world. So it's really hard for some of our customers to find where is the audience. So we're devoting a lot of time around our audience strategy. Once we have found the audience, obviously, we want to help our customer, or if it's our brand, we want to be interesting. So we do a lot of work around our content strategy. What's our content strategy? And our content strategy used to be very simple because we only had one delivery, it was paper. Now there's multiple delivery. A content strategy on mobile, on email, on TV, on a contest on the web is very different. So we're spending a lot of time on content, and we have added in the past 3 or 4 years a lot of multi-platform delivery touch points. So around our 2 core competency, now we have had things like email marketing. We bought mobile company, we bought eFlyer company, we're beefing up our custom content offer. We bought data analytics company. We launched a TV production arm last year because we feel that some of our brand could have a great life on TV. So this is these businesses that are around our core are now about 150 million, forecast to go to 200. But what is really happening as we try to transform our product offering, in a sense, what we're doing is we are building a new core competency. And that's not easy. And I think the new core competency and that business of web and one-to-one marketing is at the crossroad of marketing and technology. It's a merger of two, because you have to understand the technology, but most people who invent the technology, they don't understand marketing. So you got to put the two together to create value. And this is a third core competency that we are trying to build at Transcontinental. And the transformational tips here is that if you want to transform your company, you got to learn new core competency. You got to learn new tricks. You got to listen to new people. So what are the key takeaways from the little story I told you about the history of how we've built Transcontinental? Is if you want to transform your company, for sure you need an original idea. You need to have an idea, but as much as your idea is going to be tied to customer needs and a positive marketing trend, the more success you will have. You will face adversity along your journey, so how you will respond to it, how your people will respond to it, how your people will feel that they are allowed to fail could dictate if you will transform or not. If you don't have a passion for the business you're in, I strongly recommend you do something else, because it's going to be very hard to transform your company. And today, I think more than ever, you got to work with your partners. We have some people that we deal with at Transcontinental. There's some CEO that I know. I have 3 levels of interaction with them. Sometimes I'm a competitor, sometimes I'm a supplier, and sometimes I'm a business partner in a new venture. The 3 with the same individual. And you have to deal with that, because that's, I think, the cost of trying to develop the new products and services in the media industry. If you put people in a box, or if you put yourself into a box, it's going to be pretty hard for you to transform your organization, to learn. And I believe that in a few areas, we need to learn as an industry. Not everybody thinks, they found the silver bullet, but I doubt that anybody's going to find the silver bullet alone. I talked about trends and technology that could be short-lived, so you have to think about that. You need to have a plan. If you have a plan, when the big opportunity is going to be there, you're going to be ready. You're not going to hesitate. You would have done your own work, and you could jump and transform your company. Internal growth is great. We're doing a lot of things at the TC Transcontinental to foster innovation. It's our 3rd year of running a large innovation contest that drives north of 1,000 employees. We've started 3 years ago, and we have 2 of the original idea that we're commercializing. So internal growth, getting your people to innovate for sure is very important in developing your company, but don't forget acquisition. If you allow yourself to do acquisition, you'll speed up your transformation, and you'll acquire new talent and new skill. And at the end of the day, if you really want to transform your company, you're going to need to develop new core competency. So for me, and closing on that part, transforming a company, for me, is a balancing act between what I call the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain. On the right side of the brain, you have a clear strategy. You have well studied the market trend. You're very well aware of your outside environment. You're very well structured in a sense. And this is usually what professional managers are good at. And you need a good dose of that. But on the other hand, on the left side of the brain, you have what I call the unplanned part. Are you agile? Are you opportunistic? Are you a positive individual? Are you giving up as soon as something happens, or you're never giving up? Look at any great entrepreneur that built a big company. They never gave up. They never gave up. And they have a passion for what they do, and they work hard. So all the unplanned part is more associated with an entrepreneur. And I think you need a mixture of both and the right balance if you want to transform your company. And our 37 years of history, I must say that we were maybe 2/3 unplanned and 1/3 planned, because we were formed by an entrepreneur. But I think what you need to do is find the right balance for your style, for your business, for your plan. But I think it's a balance of both. So where are we at with the TC Transcontinental at this point? We see ourselves as a company that is evolving toward what we have defined as marketing activation. And what do we mean by that? We see ourselves helping our customer and contribute in 3 areas: insights, content, and deployment. Obviously, Transcontinental has been a company historically who's been more involved in the deployment. Paper, magazine, email, mobile, we're good in the deployment. It is still 70% of our revenue is in deployment. But as you want to talk to consumer, you need to have content. So content is an important piece of our marketing activation play. It's about 30% of our revenue. But we need to study more as we move to one-to-one marketing about what the consumer really wants. If we're going to create content for a brand, we got to have a feel for how the brand is perceived with the consumer. If we're going to activate an email campaign with a personalized message, we got to have a feel for what the consumer wants. So we don't have a lot of revenue and insight, neither do we tend to have a lot of revenue, but it's something that we need to do if we want to move towards one-to-one marketing. So what are we working on right now at TC Transcontinental? The same 3 things: audience, content, and what are the new platforms to reach the consumer. Some of the stuff that we're active with right now, the tablets is a big opportunity for our industry. The media industry did, in my opinion, a fundamental mistake in the 2000s when they gave away the content on the desktop. Any industry that let go of 30 or 40% of its revenue base are to have a problem in the future, and that's what we did with the desktop. Now we have an opportunity to do it better on the tablets as an industry, so we're working on that at Transcontinental. We're very excited about digital advertising and all the trends that's out there. Real-time bidding. We're collecting now a lot more data around each click. So I think for the future, it's really great. I think that there's an opportunity for media company to, in the future, enable transaction. So there might be a play for a media company like us in e-commerce. We are working on TV production to take some of our brands on TV. We're very excited about a small project that we're doing in Montreal around location-based advertising. You've seen in the video, we've built an application for the parking authority in Montreal where people could pay their parking and their cars, and they don't have to worry. We actually know who's that person. We collect information. We know where they are in the city of Montreal, and we know for how much time they'll be there, and we know all the business that there's around where they park their car. So we're working on a little project around location-based advertising. We're working with all the retailers in Canada because Transcontinental have digitalized all their SKU, or their deals, because we print all the flyers. And since a long time, we have took these electronic deals and put it on their website. Now we're working very hard with them to try to diffuse these deals on the World Wide Web at different places than the flyer printed or their websites. We're working on our local business, trying to help the small and medium-sized business be visible on the web. It's a very big thing for them to be visible on the web. We're working in our publishing business to try to understand what the classroom of tomorrow will be. How will teacher teach with the web and with the iPad? And even in printing, we have growth. We are working on a new venture where we are developing a point of purchase, POP division in the print sector, and it's doing very well. So a lot of new things, a lot of activity. We're excited, and we hope that we'll meet all of you on our journey to learning and discovering and transforming our company, and hopefully we'll meet you and learn from you and have fun for you. Have a good week at the convention. Thank you for your time. Thank you for showing up on such a weather, and have a good time. Thanks.